things like that because I don't really eat sugar. Because
Really?
I've cut that. I've cut that out. Like I'm not a big sugar person. I try to do more low carb and more
Uh-huh.
healthy diet. But I love baking and like I'm a sugar dealer, but not a
Yes.
druggie. You know what I'm saying?
But you're not sampling the product. Yeah.
Right. So I just give it to small children. You know what I mean? Here's some
Yeah.
cookies. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, Megan and I wanted to introduce our very special guest today, Michele Karabin. She has 29 years of experience working with teens and disabilities as an employment and transition representative in a public high school. She helps students with disabilities develop skills and plans for their future, including college and job training. She was born in Washington, D.C. and now lives in Alexandria, Virginia. She also lived in San Francisco for 4 years with her best friend while her friend pursued culinary school. This inspired Michele to start cooking more herself. Michele has strong interests in cooking, grilling, and baking. It relaxes her and she loves creating new recipes. This led her to start trying out for MasterChef starting in season 6. She tried out 6 times before making it on the show to demonstrate to her daughters that persistence and hard work pays off. When Michelle's first daughter left for college, she wrote a cookbook for her so she would have recipes and skills to cook on her own. She taught herself design skills and published it in the same month she went to LA for MasterChef. Michele's hobbies are kayaking, yoga, and biking. She is currently training for her first century bike ride in September. She tries to lead by example and show her daughters that if you set a goal and work towards it, you can achieve your dreams. All right, Megan, why don't you introduce your friend and take it away?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Michele, for being here. We have so many things to talk about. You are many different things and wear a lot of different hats, but I wanted to start out by talking about how we met. And that was on MasterChef. And and I don't want people to think that this podcast is all about MasterChef. It's not. But I happened to meet the most amazing people there, and everybody had a story, and everybody was so much more than just like a 5-minute audition or whatever was aired of all of us. And so I would like to, share who you guys really are. And, everybody's got, something to share, and your life is really interesting, and you've done a lot. You wrote a cookbook, which I can't wait to talk about, but yeah, we met on MasterChef, and I feel like we clicked because, and I don't want to say that we're like older, but like we were the older half of I mean, not even half, but there was like a handful of us that I would say were moms, and there was a lot of 20 something.
Yeah. I
And
told many people that I could have birthed most of them.
yeah, isn't that funny? But we did it.
We did it.
Yeah. So tell me about a little bit about how that came to be for you, and then we'll go back and we'll talk about like your career and that kind of stuff. But how did MasterChef become a thing for you?
Well, it was season 7, which, as you know, we met at season 13. So the journey began with my best friend and I taking a train to New York, thinking we're good chefs. We'll just do this for fun. We don't really think we're ever going to get on the show. Like, there's no way. So we took the train. We hung out on the train. We lost our avocados, left them on the train. It was just a total hot mess. And we auditioned and we wore matching aprons and we just had fun with it.
Yeah.
And at the time we did live auditions. So we had numbers, and what they would do is you'd go into a room and you'd cook, and then they'd call your number if they wanted you to talk to producers. And then they'd let everyone else go. And we had our numbers called, and we were like, we're so famous. We're totally going to be on the show. Yeah. Little did we know, like, we really got nowhere in the process. But because our numbers were called, we thought we were famous. We were walking through New York, pulling our little coolers, and we were like, we might get on this thing. And so it kind of like sparked the adrenaline, I would say, like, that we got when we were on it. And that started it. And then I kept trying out. I went to New York first, DC here. Then I flew my daughter to Chicago, drove all over through Chicago looking for Anaheim chili. And then what do we do next? Texas. And then COVID happened. And then I did 2 Zoom auditions and then I finally got on it.
Wow. That is a long journey. And I mean, that is persistent. That's amazing. I think that, I mean, yeah.
It borders on persistent and crazy. I'm not sure. Like my family was starting to question like my mental stability because they're like, dude, how can you keep doing this? Like you're flying to Chicago, like what the hell? Like you get like a few interviews and you send a few videos and you keep trying this stuff. I mean,
but they give you enough attention to like keep you going. You know, I remember like, you know, I wanted to drop out so many times because it was a lot of work and they just kept giving me just enough attention, just enough encouragement, just enough, please, will you? And, you know, it's addicting. Yeah.
It is. And it's exciting. And it takes away from the everyday to day, like teacher boredom, if you might say. Like teaching's not boring, but I've worked with kids with disabilities for 29 years. So, you know, throw me a little bit of adrenaline and excitement like this, it makes things happen for me. I just really always like to achieve some kind of goal and have excitement. And, you know, actually, like since we got back, I've been a little bored.
Yeah.
Like
right.
I want some more.
Right. So, yeah. So let's go back. Let's talk about, so you just disappeared for a minute, but I'm going to have faith that you're still there and this is all going to come together. So, you have a really important job. You work with teens with disabilities, teens and young adults, I'm assuming. Is this in a high school setting? I'm not familiar with like this type of a program. I don't know if this is available everywhere. But I'd love to hear about what you do. Like what is your job?
So sorry, I was trying to calm my husky down so it doesn't bark. I work with every student in a high school setting that has an IEP. Do you know what an IEP is?
Yes.
So if a student has any type of disability, whether it be physical, learning disability, dyslexia even, or really severe where they are in a wheelchair, they have a plan in the high school. So I work with every single one of them. So disabilities ranging from autism to, you know, having a little bit of dyslexia and need some help on a job application.
Wow.
So so I meet with them like in an office as like kind of like I call it more of a special education counselor, if you will, like school counselor. So they come in my office, they ask me for help for things. I do class lessons on job development and interview skills and things like that.
Oh my gosh, that's such an amazing resource. Bill, have you ever heard of that? Does Sumner have anything like that?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, I wonder.
I know multiple counties in Virginia do. I'm not sure about other states, but there's 1 or 2 of us in every high school. So it's a tough job to get because you know you have 500 teachers in a high school, and our position is like 1 or 2. So it's a wanted job, and it's a really good job. But you know, going to the MasterChef kitchen was a little bit more exciting.
Right, I'm sure.
No, I think that's a gap in a lot of schools in that there's no preparation for after high school. It's either college prep or you're on your own.
Yeah.
We have a career center for like the gen ed population and the special education where the career center helps with a lot of these things, but they work with everybody in the whole school, so it's not as personalized as what I do with these kids. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is really cool. I mean, but that is a huge job too. I mean, if you think about like, there's a lot of IEPs. I mean, a lot of people have an IEP, have their kids have an IEP. And so that's a lot of kids to be working with, like on, you know, a regular basis. I mean, I'm sure there's another person for gen ed, but I mean, sure that your job is more intense than.
Well, there's the stress of knowing all the students with an IEP to make sure that you link them to the right services. Because, you know, if they fall through the cracks, if you will, you
Mhm.
would feel really terrible if they didn't get linked to like community services board, which would care for them later in years and things like that for the more severe kids. So you
Right.
really have to make sure that you know your cases and get them linked, or, you know, especially right now, I'm the only one in the high school, so I'm responsible for all of them, which is pretty intense. And so that's probably why I go home and like start grilling.
Yes, right. And you call yourself boss, right? Like that's a thing.
Um,
Like,
I call myself the triathlete of cooking because I've tried to master baking, grilling, and cooking.
okay.
And I'm a Pit Boss ambassador for the company Pit Boss. And so I have 3 Pit Boss grills. I have a smoker, a pellet grill, and a Kamado charcoal grill.
Now we're talking. 'Cause I
That's
Yeah. Now we're
awesome.
talking
I love
meat and
it.
grilling.
Awesome.
Yes.
They make an awesome grill, and it's
Yes.
a better value than Traeger for sure.
And
I
so
love
let
them.
me ask you this, Phil. If you could pick that one of my grills, which would it be? Would it be the pellet grill, the smoker, or the Kamado if you can only pick one?
Pellet. 'Cause
Really?
yeah,
Convenient.
yeah, it's very convenient. It works right out of the box. You don't. I mean, if you know how to grill, you can use it. You know, a smoker is great, but
Mhm.
it takes, it's slow cooking, right?
Yes. So
But
when I do the smoker cooks.
often I cook at home, um, and I love just being outside
Mhm.
and grilling, and it's fun. But
And
yeah,
that's
pellets
why
are great.
I like to say this, that I do this too, is because I want more women to want to do this, because I feel like these men are going outside having the time of their lives
Well,
Right.
and
Yeah.
and for hours having their beers, and we're inside like watching the kids. Like, get out there, lady.
Yes,
right,
Right?
right.
What are
absolutely.
you waiting for?
And now I'm
It
ashamed. And
it
now
is
I'm ashamed
the
to
same
say
way.
I have a Traeger. Like, is that like the second class of barbecues?
No, Traeger and Pit Boss are like the same,
Oh, they're
I
okay.
think.
The guy who invented the Traeger
Hmm.
is the pit boss guy. He had a
Really?
falling out or something. He had a falling out with the Traeger people. I guess they went corporate or something, and then he said, "Screw this! I'm going to create my own grill." And so he made Pit Boss.
I heard
Oh, cool.
charcoal or grill or broil something just bought Pit
Charcoal.
Boss. I heard.
Did they? Okay.
Uh-huh.
He
They haven't told me that, but they still go as Pit Boss, but I heard that happened.
well, that's too
Oh,
bad.
But
I like the brand, and their marketing is really good, and they have a lot of neat recipes and stuff like that they put out there. So I like
and
them.
also, just for the record, with my smoker, I do a lot of short cooks, like baking cakes and
oh,
pies,
yeah.
and smoking desserts, which is one of my favorite things to do. And one of the best desserts I have is a smoked cheesecake with figs on it, which is
Yeah,
epic.
Wow,
that sounds delicious.
wow.
Is that in the cookbook?
No. Yes,
Is it? Is it? Okay,
yes.
I'll have to
And
look for it.
you can make it and not smoke it. You could do it in the oven, but that picture that's in my cookbook, I did smoke.
Uh-huh. Oh my gosh, of course.
Yeah, so good.
So let's go backwards a little bit, just because we're all over the place on this episode. So I'm just going to stick with the theme. Um, you were born and raised in Washington D.C., and you currently live in Alexandria, Virginia. I would like to know a little bit more about like what your childhood was like. Why, because everybody has like a call to adventure in their life, but not everybody just picks up and follows their friend across country on a culinary adventure of a lifetime. Not everybody does that. So I want to know,
And you're like,
like,
what happened to me
what
that
sparked
makes me
that?
do these crazy things?
Yes, why? Yeah.
That's funny. Now I feel like I'm doing a MasterChef audition. Let's get deep here. Let's find out why you're the way you are.
Psychological interview. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So my childhood was that my father, he always treated me and my brother equally.
Mhm.
So he took us to play hockey out on the ice. He for Christmas, my brother Rick would open up his skates and a hockey stick, and I'd be looking over there like, oh, I want those. And I thought I'd be getting a doll, right? And
Yeah.
I'd get a pair of skates and a hockey stick, and I'd be like, right on, Dad.
Yeah.
This is great. And
That's
so
great.
that was super cool. And he was like our T-ball coach. He put me on the baseball team. So I'm probably a tomboy, and I didn't play with dolls a lot. And my brother and I would play Star Wars figures, and they'd battle, and we'd have them on the steps, and there'd be sword fights and shit all over the place. So we're always crashing cars together, and so. And so what's funny is, that transferred over to my daughters because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with girls, right? This might be a problem. And so they asked me to play Barbies, and my Barbies started battling and fighting over Ken and stuff. And my daughters were like, what's up, Mom? Man, what's wrong with you? And so then my husband came in. He had him in a car, and had him driving. Let's go shoe shopping. And they were like, Dad. So he played Barbie.
Yeah. I mean, we have to know our strengths. Yeah.
So you got to know what you can handle and what you can't. And Barbie, so I wasn't good at them.
I'm not good at it either. Like, my daughter wants to play Barbies, and I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, what?
Like, what are they supposed to do? Like, how many shopping sprees can they go on, right?
I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, put the Barbie outside and get a grill. Good God, man.
Yes. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to do.
No, but so back to your question, because, I'm acting all ADHD on this thing, but because we are all over the place. But I was raised equally to my brother. My mom didn't cook. She didn't really like to cook. She wasn't really a good cook. And if she's listening to this, I'm sorry. But, we had a lot of canned green beans and sirloin steaks. And we grew up with a very American lasagna that was overcooked and a little crunchy. You know what I'm saying? Like, not enough sauce. Kind of rough.
Yeah.
My dad was a good cook in the family, and he'd do like chilies and grilling and different things. And my brother cooked a lot because he's a fire captain, so he cooked for the firehouse, or he used to.
Oh, cool.
And I would go over there and help cook with him. So I guess that's the end of, like, that's really all I can say is that was the cool part of my story, that I was raised that you can do anything, and there's nothing too big. And my mom was she worked 2 jobs, and we're a middle class family. She was worked for the Defense Department and worked real estate at night, and she's quite a fighter. So a good inspiration.
Great inspiration. That sounds like you had amazing parents, and you're very lucky. So just growing up thinking, I can do this. Like, if my brother can do it, I can do it too. Then all of a sudden you graduated, high school, college, and your friend had just graduated. Was it college?
Yes, I just finished George Mason University, and I had a degree in psychology, and I was bartending.
Okay.
Which is psychology.
Right? Yeah.
So bartending was my internship.
Yeah. So I don't know who I was, I think I might have talked about this with Bill, like on the first episode, about the hero's journey and the call to adventure. And it seems like you've had a lot of those, like a call to adventure, and you follow it. And that's a beautiful thing. And I love that about you. But tell us about following your friend across the country to do.
And before I tell you that, I'm going to tell you I love you for that too. Like,
thank you.
You're the same way.
Thank you.
Really, you are. You inspire me, truly. I mean, talk about going for your dreams. I mean, you're just going to open a motel and, with a family. I mean, it's amazing. So I was interning, majored in psychology. I wasn't making any money because you can't. And people told me that, and I didn't believe it. Like, you're going to get a BA in psychology. What are you going to do with it? That's all I ever heard, bartending. Like, you should do something else. But at the time, my dream was to help people, be a therapist, save lives and make a difference in people's lives. Yeah. And I only cooked ramen and spaghetti noodles with Italian dressing, and that wasn't my thing. It was terrible. And, so she called me and she said, I just left culinary school. Do you want to camp across country and go live in San Francisco? And I was like, yeah, let's go. Yeah. And my mom was like, have you lost your mind?
Yeah.
So that happens to me a lot.
Same, shockingly. Yeah.
And so I packed up and we left like a month later. I quit my jobs, and at the time I had 2 jobs. I was working in a residential setting with disabled people, which was really intense. For people with disabilities. And so we camped with my husky at the time and two friends and camped across country, rain and everything. We rain came in our tent. We hung it at McDonald's to dry. We cooked on the fire. It was cool.
Wow.
And I remember driving over the Golden Gate Bridge for the first time. I was like, holy cow, what am I doing? This is so freaking exciting. Right. And then we got there, you know, we had already got a place, and you know, I had to borrow $1,000 from her to pay rent at first until I got a job, and then we got residency there, and I went and got my master's degree in special education, specializing in transition, what I do now, and then I was there for 5 years, and I wasn't ever coming back, ever.
Yeah. Okay.
I loved San Francisco, and I hear it's very different now, which is sad. But
where did you get your degree in San Francisco?
San Francisco State.
Okay, that's where my wife went.
Your wife went there too?
Yeah. Econ degree. Yeah.
All right. And my husband was my high school sweetheart, and I wasn't coming back, and I came home for a wedding, and I ran into him, and you know, we made out and stuff. I flew back to San Francisco, and I was like, well, I don't know what happened there, but I'm not coming back. And then he flew out to see me in San Francisco, started visiting me, and proposed, and we came home.
Oh, I love that story. I mean, and you could always, people are mobile. You can go anywhere. You could always go to San Francisco another time.
Tell that to Jim. Never.
San Francisco is still pretty awesome, and it's very similar to Seattle, which is near where I live and where Megan used to live. It gets a bad rap. It's not nearly as bad as people say. It's sensationalized on the news. Just so you guys know that it's not that bad.
Well, maybe they'll make it cheaper, and then I can drag him back there.
Right.
You know why it's expensive, right? Because everybody wants to live there.
Yeah, so exactly.
That's why California real estate is expensive, because everybody wants to live here. Because
it's crazy.
Except for last year, it doesn't really rain there.
Right, but we experienced all that rain. Do you remember that?
What? Well, yeah. I mean, they got a lot of rain last year, but before that, I mean, I lived in California for 50 years, and we lived through a drought every 10 years.
Where did you live in California?
Northern California, about 60 miles east of San Francisco.
Okay.
I actually once had a job in San Francisco, a summer job, and it was quite interesting because I was afraid of heights. So I thought I would conquer my fear when I got offered a job from one of my college friends. He said, my brother needs somebody over the summer to help him wash windows in San Francisco. And I'm like, oh, I can wash windows. And then I got there, and it was a 30-story building. And I was like, oh, this is different.
No way.
And it didn't help conquer my fear of heights, but I was able to do it. I mean, it was all right.
It wasn't as bad as you thought it was?
No.
I don't think I could do that.
I couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, but
you
know what Mark Twain said about San Francisco was very true, and I'm probably going to screw up the quote, but it was something like, the coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco.
Right.
Because every mile you drive inland, in the summer the heat goes up 1 degree. So it could be 60 in San Francisco and well over 100 where I lived.
Exactly, because we lived in I worked in San Rafael, and then I lived in Mill Valley, and then I would go visit friends in San Francisco. So you would have it be super hot where I worked, and then cold when I got over the bridge. It was
you experienced seasons in one day.
Yeah.
But it was never winter in California, really.
No, I loved it.
No winter.
Yeah. It got cold, but not real cold. But
we would also go snowboarding up in Tahoe every weekend. So we used to snowboard, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, California is amazing for that reason. It does have everything.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
But it is expensive, and it is.
That's it. I'm packing.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good job.
I'm out of here.
Sorry, husband. Yeah.
Yeah, right. You come or go.
That's right.
Put in my Virginia time.
Anyways, so you then after that you got a job, you had a couple kids, and then you started applying for MasterChef, or did you get a teaching job right away when you moved back?
Actually, I right when I got back, I got a job as a vocational rehab counselor for the state of Virginia, which was a
Okay.
super cool job. And then I did that for a couple years, and then I worked with schools, so I would go meet the people that did my job at the high schools to do intakes for the kids. And they were like, "Oh, if you want to have kids, you really want to work in a school because then you have, the time off, like spring breaks, Christmas." And so I applied for that, and I've done that ever since.
That's
So
amazing. Yeah. So you okay. Sorry, I got lost. We are back to Virginia, and you've gotten a job, and you have a couple of kids, and then your same friend that you went to San Francisco with, is that the same friend that you auditioned in New York with, or is this a different friend?
no, that was a different friend. She was my college roommate. And the girl that I went across country with, her name was Kat, and she actually became a pastry chef.
Did
And
she?
her
I was
husband
wondering
was
what
a,
happened to her.
became a chef, and she worked at like awesome restaurants like Farallon and San Francisco Boulevard. And then her husband worked under Alice Waters. And he's a really, really good chef. And so they met at a restaurant. They met at Farallon, I think it was. And they've been married ever since. They opened 2 restaurants in San Francisco. One was called Alma, and then they went and opened a restaurant in Tahoe, and now they're in Montana. And neither one. Well, actually, he's a private chef, but she works in a grocery store and doesn't chef anymore.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is what's your dream? Like you have a cookbook out now and it's really beautiful. Tell us what it's called. I have a copy, and tell us where we can get a copy, and then we'll remind everybody at the end, and we'll share the link as well.
Okay. Thank you. It's called Food Color Spice. And you can get it on Amazon or BookBaby. And I self-published. I learned a lot through doing a cookbook, a lot what not to do.
Okay.
Because I had no idea what I was doing.
You would never know.
Clue.
This cookbook, I bought it. So I bought it on Amazon when I got home from MasterChef, like as soon as it came out, and as soon as I heard that it came out, I need a copy. So I went and bought a copy, and it arrived, and it was beautiful. It is like a big cookbook that has full color, like edge to edge, gorgeous photos that I can't even believe that you guys took yourselves on. I mean, here's
the other secret to that is that my husband is a director of photography, and he works as a cameraman. He goes and does the Masters golf events. He's done Super Bowls. He's done Olympics. He does the HD handheld cameras, and he's got a couple Emmys. And he's really pretty awesome. But he does do still photography and lighting. And so over COVID, he was home because he didn't get much work because everything shut down. And I still was working, but I was working from home, so we had enough money to do stuff. But he didn't have anything to do because he was here all the time. And I was like, hey.
Right.
How about you take some of these food pictures for me? And he was like, so that was pretty comic right there, because we'd take pictures and he'd be like, well, you need to plate this way, and that's not lighting. What are you doing? And we'd be like, right. My kids were actually like, the heck are they doing? Right.
Yeah.
But so I, going into the cookbook, my idea was, because my daughter had just went to college, and the other one, they're 20 months apart, and I knew they were both leaving, we're going to be empty nesters. And I thought, you as a parent, you think, well, we've seen them ride a bike, we've seen them get in the car and give them the car keys and they drive away. All these moments that I could get like worked up about. And then, the hardest was you take them to college, you drop them off, and you watch their little selves walk away pushing that bin, And you're like,
Yeah.
holy cow, what did I teach them enough? Are they going to make good decisions? They're not going to do anything that I did that was ridiculous.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I thought, well, we should, it's really, really, really freaking scary. And so I thought, well, let's do something, you always want to have some sort of control over these situations. And I thought, well, I cook. What if we make a cookbook together as parents and put it together, and that will be my gift to them to always be able to go home, wherever they live, they can go home because these are their favorite recipes. What I did, and I had a binder like this big, a purple binder that had all of my notes and recipes, and I thought, well, I know what their favorites are, so I'll just put everything they've ever liked in the cookbook, right? Like, like, really? Do we really need 340 pages in the cookbook? No, you don't.
Yeah.
And then make your husband take 150 photos, right? And then, you don't think, well, then he comes back and we're putting the photos together and he's like, well, this one sucks. Like, what were we thinking here? This looks terrible. You have to do this recipe again.
Right.
Because, he's like really like a perfectionist. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, that picture looks great. We don't need to do the recipe again. Yeah. And he's like, do you want to go through this years from now and think we could have done this better? And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go cook again.
Oh my gosh.
He just wanted a meal. Come on.
Yeah.
Like that. Those ribs were my favorite. I think we need to redo these.
Yeah.
Exactly. He took that picture on purpose.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He's like, let's get this one going again.
Very smart.
And so, yeah, so like then, and when you get to the end and you're doing the photos, we want to make his photos look the best. So we picked the best paper, and then the way we formatted it could only be like a table edition, like, because it was already formatted the way I did it. So it was big, 8.5 by 11. And so then suddenly it's a coffee table book and it's 340 pages and you're paying for glossy photos and a pretty cover because you don't want it to look like crap because you're representing your husband's photos. And then it's expensive. And so going back, I probably would have chose maybe half the stuff. If anyone's listening who wants to do a cookbook, half the stuff, make it, format it, in a nice tight way that you can sell it for like half the price. So that's what I learned in a nutshell.
Yeah. Okay.
So you also used a product called InDesign to use to make the book. Mm-hmm. Tell us the funny story about that.
So I didn't know what I was doing. I just, how you just look for stuff and you're reading online and you're doing a lot of research. And I just put this thing on my computer and I'm learning InDesign and I'm like Googling how to do things, but finding little like pictures on the InDesign. And so I do the whole book and then I send it to my friend to like clean up some things. And he gets back to me, he goes, your whole InDesign was in Spanish.
Oh no!
He's like, what the hell? And so our big joke between my friend who helped me with the InDesign, David, was like, you taught yourself how to write a cookbook in Spanish. That's pretty cool.
That
like,
is
really the whole
cool.
InDesign.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you could do that, you should be able to get a freaking apron, right?
Right? Oh my gosh. And I just want to say that you are an amazing chef and I have been watching you ever since we got home. And I mean, I look at what you create and I look at what is being presented on this show and for some of these, recipes and some of these challenges. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like they missed out. They missed out on you. And
well,
I hope you know that. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. And like, I thought about that and, I wouldn't have tried so hard and so many times if I didn't think I could do it.
Yeah.
Cause I told Gordon when I tried out, like when we were auditioning, we're cooking and you have to talk to Gordon Ramsay. I told him I was a triple fat threat and I'm getting worked up.
Yeah,
I told him I was a triple threat and, that I could bake and I could cook and I can grill and I should be on the show because I can do all of the things that they want. And do it fairly well. And I think I can, as you say, and I thought I could do it. But what I did find when I was there is looking at people like you and, all Madam Donut, Ross, people that you, Trevor, people you look at and you're like, well, these are beautiful, beautiful people. And the thing I went away with from the show was that I met really, really amazing people and making the top 20 was nearly impossible and to be part of the top 40 and looking around at these people and thinking that I'm part of this, it almost makes me want to tear up right now. I mean, look at the people. I mean, and I think like Carla was right. Was it Carla? She was a newscaster at one time.
Yeah.
These personalities were not small people. They were not small. Tyson.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to know these people very well over the 3 weeks with all the intensity of everything and sharing our passions and all sharing the love for food. And if you just sit there and look around you, it's just incredible to think. I mean, I'm about to cry. Like, I'm part of this. Like, I'm that good that I could be part of the top 40. Okay, so whether they showed me on that TV for 30 seconds and they made me look kind of ridiculous and they didn't show my strength, okay, so what, MasterChef?
Right.
So what? We know who we are, and it was so cool to be with my people. And,
it was.
And I will never, ever forget that or the friendships that I've made, like you.
Yeah.
Ever.
And I feel the same way, and I'm going to cry too, and I've been crying for the last 3
Bill's
minutes.
like, oh, Lord.
Yeah, but...
she does this every show.
I do it in every show. I cry all the time. I think it's just part of it. I mean, embrace it, people. And I was going to say, like when I was eliminated, I was devastated, but it wasn't necessarily that I was devastated that I didn't get an apron. Like, I was devastated that it was all over. And I cried and I cried and I cried on TV and I cried backstage and I cried in my interview. And it wasn't because like I felt like a failure or anything. I think it was just because, I think I was just sad that the whole experience was now done. But I wish I would have known that it wasn't. It wasn't done. And it's not done for any of us. Like, everybody's doing something amazing with their life. I felt completely out of my league. Like, when I got there, I was like, and I met you, and I met like a lot of these people that have 500,000 followers on Instagram, or have cookbooks, or hey, my cookbook's coming out. I was like, what am I doing here?
But you were there because you have a personality on camera, and you have to, for this show, you need more than just cooking. You need a camera presence. You need a strong personality. You need not to be weak-minded. You need to have mental strength. I mean, there's so much that goes into it.
Yeah, but the imposter syndrome is real.
It's real.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually, when we were there, I didn't look up anybody on their, like, everyone was looking up their other people's Instagrams and stuff and seeing how many followers they had, and I didn't look up anybody because I didn't want to be intimidated and I didn't want to go in scared, and so I refused to look up anybody. I kind of laid low, but I was a total dork, y'all, because everyone was down at the bar, and stuff, and I was up in my room studying recipes. Like, I had freaking note cards like I was in high school, and I was like, oh, cardamom, cumin, and I was studying stuff up there, like freaking out, right? Because I was like, if it took me this many times to get on the show, I'm going to study my ass off, and I'm going to know everything they need me to know. Because it was just so hard for me to get on the show. And then I'd be talking to people, and they were like, yeah, I just tried out once. And I just tried out once. And they called me and asked me to be on the show. And I'm like, good Lord, what does it take for me? Like, so that was kind of like, that was rough.
Yeah.
Like, finally.
Yeah, finally. Oh my gosh.
Right?
So we didn't get to see a whole lot of your audition, but I remember it. What do you wish made it to air? What do you wish, like, what message did you want to get out?
What I wished aired was when I was talking to the chefs, and my daughters were standing beside me, and I said, I'm here because I want to show that there's no dream too big, and that if you set a goal, if you put the work behind it, you can get whatever you want to get. There's no stopping you. I mean, it may take 7 to 10 years.
Yeah.
But my point was to show, like, if you love something, if you have the passion for something and you set the goal to achieve it, you can't just set the goal. This is what I wanted to tell them, is you can't just set the goal and say, I want this, I want to be on MasterChef. and then sit home and make pancakes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not what I did. I worked, I built my social media. I mean, not as much as many of the people on the show, but I posted something every single day. I challenged myself to do different recipes. I mean, achieve macarons, do them in the smoker, learn grilling and smoking recipes and doing desserts on them. And I was trying everything out of the box to get noticed. I did, I thought that if I got on the show that I would learn from some of the best chefs. And I don't have time to go to culinary school because I have a job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought if I got on the show that I would learn from the best, and that was my purpose. And that's why I wanted it so badly. But the message that I would want to share with everybody is that to my daughters that, if you want something and you want to achieve it, put the work in, not just have a dream, like do the work.
Do it, follow it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sacrifice if you have to. Yeah. And just keep trying. Resilience is important. And I think we've talked about that with a lot of other people that are really successful. And they've said resilience is, the probably the most important thing. Because I think we talked about it last week. We talked about it with Vinny. We talked about it with,
And I think also is not letting, I think the other main thing is just not letting failure define you. Like, okay, if you try out for something 6 times and people keep telling you no, and they don't give you a reason why, and you start asking, you have the imposter syndrome, you start asking yourself, like, why are they better than me? Why can't I make it on the show? Like, I'm watching these people on the show. I know I can do this. Why are they picked and not me? You know what I mean?
Right.
And then you get the message that you're not on it, and then you just went through all the stuff, and you know how much you do to try to get on it. And you do this so many times, and then you're like, I failed again, And so to get up and pick yourself back up and be like, I'm gonna go for this again. I don't care. I'm not a failure. I know I'm more this. I know I can do it, and not give up is what it takes. I mean, not to let failure define you, even though you could say I failed again by not getting the apron, right? But is that the case? I don't know.
No,
I don't think so.
Well, we talk a lot about on the show defining success and how it's individual. Well, so is failure, right? So there are people who will try something and quote unquote fail, and they give up, they move on, and that may be healthy for them. I don't know, but they get to define what failure is and what success is, and technically, if you look at the dictionary version of what success is or failure, you failed because you didn't win. But you just said what your purpose was, and you met your purpose.
True.
So,
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
and my husband said something that you both might like. My husband said, Michele, well, I think first of all, when I said I was trying out again, he goes, "No, you're not. I'm not doing any more of your videos." And I said, how about just one more time? And he goes, we're going to do this one more time. He goes, but you know what? Getting on the show is like winning the lottery, and
right.
you're not gonna get on the show, but I'm gonna do these videos one more time. And so, hey, play the lottery, people. But he also said something that resonated with me is that you're gonna lose on the show no matter when you lose, unless you win. I mean, does that make sense?
It does.
So
right.
You're going to lose when you don't get the apron. You're going to lose when you're the first one to go home. You're going to lose when they tell you suck on the grill. You're going to lose until someone wins. But you can also maybe say you had the pride of making it to the top 10 and things like that. So, but you are going to have a sense of,
I mean, if you go to the Olympics and get the bronze medal, did you lose?
No.
I'm riding this high of being in the top 40 for as long as I can. You
have done the best job of riding this wave out of all of us.
I'm going back to the news. I'm going to go back to and cook on that news channel until they ask me to be on the news, like as a substitute anchor. That is my goal.
And it'll happen.
Matt, if you're watching, I know we're gonna work something out.
Well, my favorite person ever on TV was a local TV weatherman,
Oh yeah.
David Letterman. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah, that's right. I didn't know.
I remember watching him when I was in 6th grade. It was his TV show that was on right after the Today Show in the morning. It was on for about 6 weeks. It was on the summer of between like 6th and 7th grade.
Uh-huh.
And I so loved that show. And when it got canceled, I was so mad. But then he got a show like two or 3 years later, or maybe a year later, I don't remember, where he was on, network TV.
Right.
You're
It's
That's awesome.
back.
yeah.
Yeah, and that lasted 30 something years. So, ride the wave as long as you can. And you know what? To do the surfing analogy, there's always another wave.
There's
Just
way.
catch
Right?
it.
Yeah. You
can walk into the shore and do something else, or you can just catch another wave.
yeah. Are you
That's a
doing
fact.
this
I like
again,
that.
Michelle?
No.
No. Okay. You're not.
No, okay, I'm not going to do MasterChef again.
Okay. But you would do a different show.
Yes, I want to do a different show. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love being with people like you, and being with people that love it as much as I do and are
Mhm.
as excited as I am.
Yeah.
I would definitely do another show. Just like we talk about when you know when to quit as well as keep trying. And we talked about all these different things. I feel like I achieved my goal of getting on MasterChef because I did specifically say my goal is to get on the show. So I feel like I also told the universe I wasn't specific enough.
You limited yourself. You
Right.
limited your goal. Yeah.
And
But you know
I
what?
think that,
Yeah, I keep trying to say too, and like, I don't know how to say it, but like, without sounding super cliche, is that I feel like something better is coming for you. I mean, just because, you got on MasterChef, you were top 40 in the US. Like, that's huge. And I know people say it to me and I don't believe it sometimes, but like, you have to. That is a huge accomplishment. And maybe something like else is out there. I know it is. It's just we just don't know what it is yet. And it's hard when you can't see around the corner to whatever the thing is. And you and I know your personality type likes goals and
yeah.
an agenda, but
That's why I had to I didn't have any shows that I tried out for, so I had to try to think of something to do. So I was like, I guess I'll write a century.
Oh my gosh, I was going to ask you about that. That's crazy. First of all, I read about this. I read about women writing a century in her curriculum last year, and I didn't know that this was still a thing that was still going on. But this has been going on since the very beginning of bicycles.
Wow.
Yes. And women used to do this 100 years ago. And they would,
I love that.
In dresses. Yeah.
Okay, but I'm not going to wear a dress.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Don't.
You'd be noticed.
Yeah.
I should, right? Side saddle on my bike.
Yeah. You go. So what's it like training for a century that you've never done before? And how long are you taking to prepare for it? So when is the race?
The race is in 3 weeks, September 16th in Fredericksburg. I've been riding my bike. I ride my bike all the time. This has been about 20 weeks. I think I signed up for the race on July 14th. I go for I ride my bike probably 5 days a week. I have a Peloton, so I do indoor training, intense training, and then I go for one long ride a week with my friend Max. And so I'm ready. And then, I also research it and learn how to fuel properly because, you have to eat a gel and a bar every 20, you have to keep your body full of carbs and proteins and, pace yourself. And, so I think it's pretty flat ride, but
that's good.
And I've done triathlons and things like that. So I'd never done a century. So decided that this was time to do something and set a goal. And I also gained some weight after MasterChef. So I was like, hey, try to shed some pounds here. And
that's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. I gained weight before it. I gained weight before MasterChef because we were eating all that food. We were we were eating, we were practicing all those recipes. I do have a
Yes.
question for you about like your life and your social media. And I feel like I cannot even keep up with what you do on social media. Is this your everyday life? Is this your dinner? Is this your, like, are you guys actually eating this stuff? Is this just for show? Is this like your family's, meal?
Well, most of the stuff I make is goes along with like more of my low carb diet, and they're like the things I make aren't always fattening things.
Okay.
Like, like I might smoke a pork and have a shredded pork and then, eat that over salad for the next couple of days. You know what I mean? So we're like
Okay.
not feasting all the time. And
Yes.
if I do cakes or cookies and things like that, because I don't really eat sugar, because
Really?
I've cut that. I've cut that out. Like I'm not a big sugar person. I try to do more low carb and more healthy diet, but I love baking and like I'm a sugar dealer, but not a
Yes.
druggie. You know what I'm saying?
But you're not sampling the product. Yeah.
Right. So I just give it to small children. You know what I mean? Here's some cookies.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But like, so I'll just bring the baked goods into school and put them on my table, and all the teachers will come.
Yeah.
And, it's easy to give away baked goods, so
For
I
sure.
give a lot of that away. Our moms live nearby, and so then I'll bring them food and extra
That's
food. So.
Yeah.
And now at this point, like when you build your social media too, like a lot of companies, I'm an ambassador for D'Artagnan, and Melissa's Produce, I get some stuff from. So you end up getting some free food. So I'm not also buying it anymore all the time. And so they'll give me something to do a reel with, and like a pork belly that you saw.
Yes.
And so then I did a Japanese bowl with a smoked pork belly, but the pork belly was literally like the size of my bed, right?
Wow.
It was gigantic. It wasn't really the size of my bed, but it was
Yeah.
gigantic. And so, but luckily my daughters were home and they love pork belly, so we had a lot of that for days. But and gave some away. But things like that. So it starts
And
getting
you
more
did the
economical as you work.
You
What's
did the
that?
chili cinnamon rolls. That was like
Yes.
I saw that go viral. I mean, I don't know if your video went viral, but that was a viral.
No.
Like, I saw that and I was like, everybody, probably 10 people have sent me a video of pork belly cinnamon rolls saying, you need to make this. You need to make this. I'm like, I make pies. I mean,
well, see, but your TikTok is insane. It goes viral. Like I've never had anything go viral. Like it's like also social media is maddening because you'll like cook a pork belly for 10 days and then you'll have 186 views and you're like, what?
I know.
What,
Isn't it?
It doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense. So, I know. Yeah, I will.
So it makes you kind of crazy.
Yeah, Bill and I were just talking about this too, and like I'll do a video. I'll spend all this time making like something that I really care about, and it will get like 300 views, and then I'll go to Circus and drag my suitcase down the stairs and post a 5-second video, and it goes viral. I'm like, what is going on? Like, why are you guys following me? I don't know.
I haven't figured any of that out.
Yeah.
But the pork belly cinnamon rolls, that was cool because my best friend who lives in Texas, who I actually stayed with when I went and tried out for MasterChef in Texas, her brother-in-law is a pit master, and he had posted the recipe, and she posted eating it, and she tagged me, and she's like, "You got to make this. This was delicious." And so I started texting with him, and we were talking about barbecue and cooking. Yeah. And I'm joining his competition barbecue team in October.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
So it's cool how things like lead to other things. Like I just made a cinnamon roll out of pork. I didn't think that I'd actually finally compete on a barbecue thing because I'd always wanted to be on a barbecue team and actually compete. I've never done that before. And so I'll do my first one in October. So that's super cool.
Oh my gosh, that is really cool. See, doors opening. You never know. I mean, you have no clue what's ahead. You can never know.
We just don't.
Yeah.
And it's so exciting. And one of these days I'm going to stay at a hotel that you're running and we're going to cook together.
I know. I can't wait. Either that or I'll have to come out and visit you. But yeah, come see me anytime. I would love to cook with everyone.
Come here and you get some free headshots.
Okay. I'm in.
There you go.
Yeah.
Deal?
Yeah.
I'll feed you. We'll visit, and you can get some headshots.
Make some content. Yeah. Let's do it.
Right?
I'm in. Oh my gosh.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, gosh, I thank you so much for being here. I apologize for the technical difficulties in the beginning, but I'm glad that we got past it. And yeah,
Me too.
I just really appreciate you, and I'm so glad that we're friends. And thank you for making me cry today. I appreciate that little.
You got me
moment.
unable to speak for a minute.
I was unable to speak for a minute. Yeah.
That's a tough thing to do, is make me stop talking. So you did pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's hard because, it's just like we made these connections under the weirdest circumstance. I mean, like, I think that if we weren't in that, when you meet people, you don't really form connections like you do in a high stress situation where you just bond over the stress that you're experiencing with these people, and then you live it over again as you watch them compete and you feel their stress. And it's a really unique bonding experience that, like, I'm just super thankful for. And I remember sitting with you during some of those and just like, talking and bonding over, food and being the moms. And I mean, it was just a really special experience. I appreciate you.
I'm grateful to meet you.
Oh. Oh.
Oh.
Anyway,
real quick, you know what it did teach me too is, like, I used to watch the show and be like, why do these fools cry over each other?
right? Why? They're competing, and then you get it.
Yeah. Like, oh, I cry.
Yeah, I don't think I'd make it on one of those shows. Not if I had the talent to do it, because I'm too competitive, and I think I'd probably strangle somebody.
No, you could be the mean guy on there,
You could
right?
be the villain.
Maybe you could be
Yeah.
maybe you could.
I would take Gordon to task.
Oh,
He would
I
piss
want
me
you to
off.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to get him on the show,
Right? Yeah, we'll give him some lessons.
right? Let's do it, and we'll cheer you
Yeah.
along the way.
There you go. And that other guy was even bigger jerk. I don't
Yeah.
remember his name.
Joe.
The guy who said no to you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Joe.
Joe.
Yeah.
Joe also said that I had the perfect crepe, by the way. That wasn't aired either. And, but you think about it, well, when you're the person that doesn't get the apron, they're not going to show you be capable.
Right.
So that, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, that does suck.
It's
So,
all TV.
Yeah.
What
Holy
I
fuck.
recommend you do is you start your own show. Just start your own show.
Mm-hmm.
Your husband has connections and experience and all that stuff. Start your own show.
Let me tell you a little secret, though, Bill. My husband doesn't want to start a show with me.
Well, he thinks that now.
We know. I asked him to write an invoice for me because I was at work and I couldn't do it. And I was like, "Did you write that invoice yet?" And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "Well, what are you waiting for? I need that invoice. Didn't we talk about that? You needed to send me that invoice." And he's like, "Dude, I never worked for you."
Right. Yeah.
So,
Probably to separate it. Yeah.
Yeah, like he's like the laid back creative type cameraman, and I'm like, obviously driven to do stuff, or I'm bored, so I'm a little hyperactive, and I'm like, where's that invoice? Let's go, let's take some pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all a little bit there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this episode will take form, and it's gonna look like it was like, like it totally was curated, like, and went exactly like we planned.
Cool.
It's like magic.
It's magic.
Seems like it's gonna actually. It's not. You're not gonna like cut out everything and make me just stare at the camera and look really dumb.
Only if you want me to.
No.
As long as you don't break a tooth, we're good.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I still don't believe that she said that. I still don't believe that she said that. I'm still mad too, because that was a bag of shelled pecans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
We won't talk about it. Yeah.
We won't bring that up.
No.
We're positive here on this podcast.
We are.
That's right.
Yeah. And I don't want to get in trouble because I'm sure I signed a contract that said I would never say, right? Yeah.
No, I say nothing.
I could say it for you.
I only say good things about Fox and MasterChef. Yeah.
I say nothing negative, you know? You broke a tooth, I'm sorry. It's cool. Sorry about that. That's all I had to say.
Sorry. Oh my gosh, you're so fun. I'm so glad that you were here. I'm so glad you were here.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me, both of you. It's been a lot of fun.
And one more thing. So we're going to share the link for your book. It's called Food Color Spice. It's available on Amazon. It's also available on BookBaby.
Yeah.
And where can we follow your social media?
At Food Color Spice on TikTok and Instagram. So I have it on Threads, TikTok, and Instagram, and Facebook. Food Color Spice is all the same.
Perfect. Okay. Is there any dots in between, or is it just Food Color Spice?
Just Food Color Spice.
Perfect. Okay. And it's a beautiful book. Everybody needs a copy. It's a great gift. The holidays are coming, and it's a beautiful, just even if you don't cook, it's beautiful to look at. I mean, they did an excellent job. So check it out.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Anyways.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We'll see you soon. Bye, Michele.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.